Well, let me grab my trusty microphone here, If it's too loud, let me know. Then I'll back away from the microphone. But anyway, y'all know it's that time of the week. Let me grab my drink. Make sure y'all got it and you got your snacks. No, I did not fix my microphone yet. I'm working on it. And I thank you, player, for the mute. I'm trying on the music. But anyway, y'all, welcome back once again to JJ's PC Builds live discussion right here on YouTube. You know it is me, JJ, once again. Y'all know that. Before we get started, we'll let everybody get in on the stream. So, well, we will, player, be patient, be patient. We got many of people getting in here, so we got 3 so far. So let's see, let's get a couple more in here before we get this party started. And I do apologize once again, I want to bring this up, that I didn't do a pre-post. I kind of fell asleep on that part, but just let you know, we're up at 5, we're here, 5 p.m. on Saturdays. So, what we're going to be talking about today, believe it or not, we're going to be talking about who's king in September. Who is going to be crowned the king? Is it going to be Lisa Sue? She'll probably end up being the queen. Or is it Intel? This is a little bit of kind of a dilemma. There's rumors going around about, and we're going to start off with Intel. There's rumors going around that Intel might decide on the Arrow Lake processors that they're supposed to be using for desktop, that they might decide to turn them into laptops and totally miss the SKU of the desktop. Seems the problem they were having on Raptor Lake and everything else, that kind of put bad press on them, so they probably look like they're going to end up, they might, it's just a 50-50 chance right now, but it is a leak, that they might go laptop, of course. Player says AMD definitely. Well, it would be nice if AMD would have had a little bit of competition. But it seems with Intel skipping Meteor Lake and going laptop, Lunar Lake going laptop, and possibly Arrow Lake might be going laptop. It doesn't seem like that AMD or Intel wants to get in on that game. I was hoping they would have impressed me to get me to buy one of their newest processors. I got 3, I think 2 or 3, yeah, I think about 3 different Intel older processors I got. But it still comes down to that point where I told y'all it's got to impress me. And so far, I haven't seen nothing that impressed me about Intel processors. Look, I'm not knocking them. Like I told you, it's not about the name. It's about the hardware. Now, if the hardware's not there, I'm not leaning towards it. But if the hardware is there and it's good, then I'm leaning towards it. I'm still leaning on AMD and see what they got cooking in July. They're going to have 2 launches from what I'm hearing. One's going to be at the 28th of July, and the other one's going to be in September sometime. So people are starting to talk because for the simple fact that the 800 series motherboards are coming out at the end of July. I mean, end of September, my bad. So at the end of September, they're going to bring out the 800 series for AMD. So that tells me somewhere in between September, they might have the 9000 X3Ds coming out. The X3D chips. That would kind of take and put a really big blow onto Intel. So, like I said, I'm not going to buy any more processors, any more GPUs, no more motherboards until I see what this year has to offer. This year should have been the year of hardware and performance and price cuts and everything else. But I guess not. I guess too many people are worried about that frickin' election. You better go to bed, dog. My doggy. She's over there trying to get into my business, but listen, I know I'm not bringing politics to this table and to the channel. But with everything that's going on right now, with the lawsuits that are going against Nvidia, the lawsuits that are going against Microsoft, there's just lawsuits going everywhere. Everybody's getting sued this year. So, with that happening, it's basically when a company suffers lawsuits, the prices go up because they have to make up for that loss. So, but anyway, hello MTBK. Is a blow on Intel really that big? Maybe only a dozen of people don't want to wait for the new Intel stuff, especially when they don't know AMD even exists. Well, yeah, that's true. Some people don't know. They think AMD just makes GPUs. But yeah, they don't know that AMD makes CPUs as well. But what I'm really waiting for that would really pick up the market a little bit, that would actually put an extra damper into the market, if Nvidia would come out with the CPU processor and put their hat in the ring in the market. So if we look at it that way, then, now we got an extra player in the market. Qualcomm is, not really a competitor just yet, because they're based upon cell phones. Okay, these are desktops. These are not cell phones. So if they want to use an ARM processor that gets okay on the CPU, but when it comes to the integrated graphics of it, and people are saying, well, yeah, they're not really gaming laptops. Well, why the hell put them on the market? People know that if you get a gaming laptop, it's definitely going to handle the workload for your everyday work, your creator work, and everything else, because it's been expanded on the GPU side of that deal to handle all the gameplay, all the creator work, and everything else. But no, you know what they throw at us? A computer that's called Copilot Plus PC. So you got to spend $2,000 to get something that looks like it's similar to a desktop which I'm not claiming it to be, because if you got your processor soldered to the motherboard, you're a laptop posing as a desktop. And that's my opinion on that. So, player says the public is uniformed of different values. They just think that the i7 that's good for gaming. I think the i3, maybe. Get that away from me. Will do. MTBK says, I prefer mouse and keyboard for everyday use compared to the touch screen. You know, I do too. Even if I had a laptop, I would still shove in a monitor, keyboard, and mouse to it, and it becomes, guess what? It becomes a desktop. So, it seems unlikely now that Qualcomm will start an x86 Snapdragons. Well, they do, they don't, they don't. Core Ultra 9 285K, that is much more confusing than an i9 13900K. Oh, I know. But that Core i9 Ultra, whatever, they can keep those numbers, because it's not going to work out. And we all know this. We all said that before. When this is not the first time Intel's changed their name, believe it or not. This is not the first time. So, but that's the whole thing. That is the whole procurement. The best for the dollar you spend. And MTBK, you got it right. The best for your dollar. Which one's going to be the best for your dollar? Well, I can tell you, once it gets past September to October, I'll know then which is going to be the best bang for the buck. Because then they're going to have most of it out there, and then NVIDIA's going to come in with, their GPUs, the 50 series, and then, it's going to start the revolution of Intel Arc, and then it's going to go into NVIDIA, and then it's going to go into AMD's going to jump their hat in the ring. Maybe. Some people are speculating AMD's GPUs are going to be integrated graphics for the next year. Because they did postpone the release of an 8000 series discrete graphics card. Some people say that, what is it that I heard? Some people say that it didn't flip the bill. Some people say that it did. And the disappointment is they postponed the release of it for some precarious reason. Maybe they're waiting for NVIDIA to release their Blackwell series. Who knows? Just like AMD's waiting to launch the 9000X 3D processors as soon as Intel launches theirs. If they launch. Something tells me that September is going to turn into a paper launch. Just to keep that, oh my God. Just to keep that in mind. The i5 and i3s, R5s, and some R7s are the best value, really. Truthfully, an i3 processor is not too bad, but when it comes to your heavy load of gameplay and stuff, a lot of people are saying the i3s are not really up to the spec for gameplay. Depends on the processor, you know, I'm not knocking it. It depends on the processor. But the thing is this, the i3s are not, I've never went the i3 route. I stayed i5, i7, or i9. i3s I never messed with. That's something to think about too, you know. Maybe one time or another I'll get myself an i3 and mess with it if it's best valued for the buck. Yes, machine, I'm a little bit early, my friend, but it seems I had to be a little bit early so everybody got, you know, that the post went out there. And I'm not sure if the post went out there because I noticed on my phone that it didn't show me that, you know, a notification that the live stream popped up. So I think that's part of the problem too right now is I got my notifications on. But for some reason I did not get a notification that that I went live. This is kind of disappointing on YouTube's part. So I just want to bring that really clear. That's the reason why I got on a little bit early. Maybe they would take and put out, you know, something out there. And so far they haven't put nothing out. I was looking and I was like, this is not happening. So in order for me to get my live video out to everybody and for them to see it, you have to be subscribed. There might come a time to where I don't post until last minute. So make sure you're subscribed. And the notification's on. If it helps or it doesn't, who knows. But it comes down to the point that I'm going to tell you all this. I don't have any high hopes for Intel and Arrow Lake. That's one. I don't have high hopes on the X series that AMD is going to be punching out. I do think there will be a little bit of shimmer of hope for the X3D series that comes out in September. The reason is because Intel's been delaying and delaying and delaying and delaying, and reviewers can't even make heads or tails of it anymore. They delayed over 3 series of processors because Intel decided they wanted to do laptop. Okay? I'm sorry. Guys, don't get me wrong. I'll do a review on a laptop once in a while, but laptops are not what I base my channel on. I do base my channel on desktops. But laptops I like having a good discussion about because some people come in here in the chat and they like to have a good discussion. Hey, it's a good discussion. It's not a bad one. Let's see. Let's read up on what's going on here. The subscription bell is ringing. I had set to normally only. Just changed it to all right now. Alright. Yep, I had it on all, player says. Did Jay do too? I wonder. Yes, Jay did too. Mine is set on all. I see everybody's post. So, this has been going on for a little while. I think YouTube has it out for me, truthfully. If they do, I don't care. If they don't, I still don't care. Because as long as you guys are subscribed and you guys are having fun, that's what matters to me. I do care there. I care about my subscribers and YouTube. Not so much because they've been kind of lambasting my videos. So, So your focus is on desktop PCs. Daniel prioritizes graphics cards and gaming, and Tech Notice does all the content creation stuff, including notebooks. Look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I have 2 laptops I can do reviews on, but they're so old, it's not going to be worth it. So there's no sense in me doing a review on it. Now, with the items that I get, usually it's a little bit more cost effective for me to do desktops than it is laptops. So. And meanwhile, Jay's 2 cents is into white coats now. Yeah, that's true. I've seen that. He's more or less into the overclocking with dry ice and stuff like that. But there's going to come a time we're going to end up doing that as well. So don't get it wrong. But I can tell you this. If you guys are going to buy a processor, I'm not going to deviate you away from the processor. Okay? Even though that the processor is going to do less than 50% of the work, it's best to pick up one that you're going to be future-proofed with when it comes to you going after that, upgrading to, like, let's say you want to upgrade GPUs. Let's say you want to go from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, and you don't want to have to keep replacing CPUs, motherboards, and everything else. That's understandable. So you go with the best. That's number one. And then after that, you go and you use whatever GPU you want to use. But I would recommend not to use anything lower than the 30 series when it comes to NVIDIA, and the 6000 series when it comes to AMD. So that's just my opinion. If you use anything lower than that and you want to play AAA games, you're kind of going to be suffering a little bit, because now you got a PC that can't, now you got a CPU that the GPU can't keep up with, and it just keeps crashing over and over and over. So, yeah. Two out of 11 games I own are more GPU heavy than the rest are more CPU heavy. Well, there's another way to get around that, player. If you don't want to upgrade or anything else, I think they have, NVIDIA has GeForce gaming kind of thing that you can pay for it monthly, and it takes a lot of load off of your CPU and your GPU. So I know people that are using, GTX GPUs with like 7th or 6th gen CPUs. But it's way a lot less load, because the load is on their servers other than being on your computer. So you're just playing off of their servers. So that might be something you might want to look into. Yeah, GeForce Now. Well, how did you like the GeForce Now? That's the question. So let's see. He could become audience favorite idiot like old top gaming gear guys. Yep, could. On Steam, of course. Yep, we talked about that. I just did a test today. When lowering the resolution and the frame rate, it becomes CPU heavy on, other than the GPU does more. Yeah, it could. the lower you go down in resolution, the harder it becomes on your processor. Yeah, and the higher you go, the less amount of work that your processor is going to do. More GPU bound. So. GeForce Now is $20 a month, and an RTX 4080 is used for streaming the game via internet connection. Yeah, but you can also play. I know people are playing with. Was it GT 1650s or something like that? And they say they're not having a problem. They're just having a great time with what they got. So, and they're paying $20 a month, so they're happy with it. I only switch because Australian internet's bad. Oh yeah. Some places got it good, some places got it bad. You know, you can go with Starlink. Starlink now is 50% off from what I'm hearing. Is usually you buy the equipment and the monthly service is $99 a month, but it seems they cut it down to half price, so it's $45 a month. And you're talking about, Starlink. You're talking about a better connection kind of thing. So, something you might want to keep in mind too. So. Yeah, MTBK, I mean, my mind is just twisted over this fact of the CPUs. I don't know why, it's been twisted for the last week or so. When it failed for a day, I was worried how many Fortnite players might lose their mind. A GTX 1650 is better than my card, huh? Well, you got the 1050 Ti. I don't see how it'd be any much different. I have a 1660, a GTX 1660. I don't use it that much. Truthfully, I don't even use it at all. But I got it. Which I should do a test on that. Because since I got the 1660, I should do a test on that. For the simple fact that with AMD that just put out FSR 3.1, I should do that. I'll do that on a video, I think. So I'll end up having to pull the card out, pull the system up here and switch out the systems and go from that route. I think I might do that. Sure, understandable that players get annoyed that it takes too long for new architecture to release. Yeah, it does. It definitely, people wait for the new architectures is because some know that after 2 years, and I hear this from some people, they say after 2 years, it seems now that these companies are cutting them off and only updating them once a year, and there's become a big issue about that. And I said, no, maybe you're in the wrong, looking in the wrong neighborhood, because so far I haven't seen, but maybe Nvidia cut off the GTX series from, production. So they're not producing them anymore. Actually, they haven't been producing. I don't even know why they put out that article on that. So let's see. GTX 1660 question mark. So my RTX 4060 laptop GPU is not far away. Well, no, you got plenty of time with the 4060. There's going to come a time, just like with Pascal, NVIDIA is going to cut off the driver updates for the GTX series. You got your Haswell. they're going to be working on cutting that off too, and stuff like that. So they might work all the way up the field and say, you know what, we're going to cut off from 10 series, we're going to cut off below 10 series, which it's supposed to be, and all the way up to the 20 series that they're going to stop making drivers for. Once they do that, people are going to be in a panic, because they're going to end up shooting themselves in the foot when they're trying to look for a 20 series graphics card just to keep up on, the driver series. So, but anyway. So if Intel says goodbye to hyper-threading, which they already said they were, can an 8P core and 16E core / 24 threads total beat an i9 14900K when it comes to multi-threading? I think we will see that happen. Look, they can say, unless with those 8P cores, unless you have 32 E cores, that's the only way they're going to be able to keep up without using hyper threading. Is they're going to need triple to quadruple the amount of efficiency cores, because you're trying to make up the difference, because for every P core there should have been 2 E cores, hyper threaded. But now you take that away, they're going to need 4 times that amount in order to keep up with, the support for the P cores. Not unless they just decide not to do any and not have any more support for the P cores and just run them by themselves and run the E cores by themselves. That's what they could have done too. But that would be kind of crazy. I would tell you, the performance would be in the toilet. So, the GTX 1660 is like 85% better than my 1050 Ti. You know how I got that 1660, that GTX 1660? It came with a pre-built that I got, and the pre-built only cost like $200. So I turned around. I got it from eBay, I think it was. So I was testing it out, and I was looking to see what all the hardware was inside, and it turned around and it was a GTX 1660. I was like, oh, damn. I was like, okay. That came in a Hewlett Packard, one of the HP systems. So I took it out, and I put it with a motherboard that had a Xeon processor. That was 24 cores, 32, I think, threads. But it runs on ECC memory. And that has 32 gigabytes of ECC memory. Hey, it plays great games, so I ain't complaining about it. My friend ain't complaining about it. He said it plays great games. So that's until the Christmas build came up, and then I turned around, switched out the Christmas build with the one I built with him before, and so now I got it sitting here with the Xeon processor and the 1660. So I think once there are no more GPU drivers for a generation, folks will start playing their favorite games of 20 years, no problem. Probably so. But if they take them off of the market, they're not going to be playing them anymore. if they start changing the specifications like Steam's has been doing, you know, like they back when they said no more Windows 7, they're going to say no more Windows 10. But I'm hearing a rumor about Windows 10 that Microsoft's going to extend it for another 5 years. That you're going to get free updates for the next 5 years on Windows 10 after the expiration date. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm hearing rumors about it. In Cinebench R34, the 8-core i9 1109K was faster than a 10-core i9 10900K. Yeah, I could believe that. So things will turn out just fine. Trust the CEO with the stakes. Yeah, but who would want Steam to decide whether they can play a game or not? And that's true. I know, I seen you. I know it was. I wasn't going to correct you on it. I was going to let you correct you on it. So it would have been cool if there was an R34. That would have been something new. I had to go check. I would have too. So it comes down to the time that we're all at the the way they used to have before the internet. They used to have it to where you can go to Walmart, you can go buy games, put them into your PC and play your games, and didn't have to worry about this internet hodgepodge. You know, that's just the way games were. And then they come once they hit the end. You know, once the World Wide Web came out, and then the internet just started sparking off. And then after about a year, everybody was starting to do online gaming. So that became the thing. Trust me, a lot of people were doing online gaming back then. Some were doing online gaming with Windows 95. Believe it or not. I thought that was crazy. That was when I moved up in the world, and I was right around Windows 98, getting ready to go up to what was it, Windows XP. Yeah. So let's see. MTBK says it's the year 2034. 4 years have passed since Jay waited 4 days in front of a Micro Center to get an RTX 7090. How does it stack up after 1,500 days? Player says, haha, no Walmart for me. And says, the 7090 is 6 years. No way. What if it stacked up to that, and also too everybody was wondering, what if they never came out on launch day and they were delayed and postponed for another 6 months? Seems like that's what Intel's kind of racketeering is doing right now. I'm saying racketeering is because that's what I'm considering it as. Because if they wanted to keep up on the times, they would have been keeping up on the hardware. They would have been bumping it out. And that's what we don't see. They're more interested in bumping out laptops than they are desktops. And I know they already pissed off the DIY community by pumping out the laptops, but not thinking about the desktops. And some of these laptops that they're bumping out, they're going over to China. China's ripping out the processors and putting them onto different laptops. I heard something about that too. So, also too, the processors, they're just ripping them off, putting them on PCBs, and they're just selling them for $50. You can get AMD graphics. Yeah, you can get yourself a 6000 series AMD graphics card, mobile, for $50. Come on, guys. That is solidly ridiculous. Using a mobile chip, you're not even going to get half of the damn usage. And you can't put it in on a desktop and push it like you could a regular desktop GPU chip. There's no way. I know that because I got one of those little mobile kind of chips from China. And I'll be lucky to even push it up to 4 gigabytes of VRAM. Anytime I pushed it up past 2 gigabytes of VRAM, the thing died. So, optimistic about this as sometimes sane dudes can be possibly be. Look, ain't nobody saying when it's to your PC parts. I'm waiting until, truthfully guys, I'm waiting until after November. I'm waiting to see if there's an if to this. If they're going to take and cut the prices due to the fact because our president here is going to want to cut prices and bring the economy back down where it needs to be on inflation, and cut the inflation cut it right out of the market and bring down those prices. What's going to happen to these big companies then? Oh, okay. We'll have a peek and gander. Give me a moment. Alrighty. Okay. I'll put that up there so I can see what's going on. Okay. ESU license, $61. No, that's business, bro. Oh, education customers, meanwhile, $1 per license, first year, and the following year, fourth year, $4. License starts in October 2024 for 3 years. Education customers, meanwhile, will pay $1 per license for the first year, $2 for the following year, and $4 for the third year. What options do I have with continuing the use of versions of Windows 10 with the support? You may continue using Windows 10 after the support ends. However, you'll no longer receive quality updates. Extended security updates, the ESU program. Okay, I got it now. I got what you're saying. But this was a leak and rumor that was going around a little bit, that they said they were going to extend it for another 5 years and they were going to make it for free. That's what I was hearing. That was a leaking rumor. So, if that happens, I don't know. Hello, Phoenix. Good to see you. Good to see you. TBK says if they put an RTX 4060 Max-Q laptop GPU on a PCB that can be into a PCIe slot, it would run like 9 degrees Fahrenheit cooler, and that's all. Yeah, true, because it's not pulling much power, but it's not going to give you good graphic performance. It would be like more or less like running 8700G on your PC. Same thing. So it wouldn't be that great. It says both. Okay, machine, I got you. Yeah. So, but moving on to the Antians. So like 4 degrees cooler then. See, 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, yeah. Every 9 degrees Fahrenheit bump is a 5 degrees C bump. Easy to me to calculate fast. Thank you. $1 per year is not bad, but the second year is $2 and the third year is $4. That's on the third year. So, but you don't understand. You're only getting you're only getting cumulative security updates. It's not antivirus. So why pay for something that you're not gonna receive? They didn't say anything. They did not say anything about the antivirus. I hope they bundle that in that package. This just seems like, to me, it's another one of Microsoft's cash grabs. Because when they did Windows 7, they extended it for 3 years. If everybody got the final version of the package, they were able to get antivirus and everything for the next 3 years past the expiration date of Windows 7. Because Microsoft wanted to get everybody off of Windows 7 onto Windows 10. So they extended it for an extra 3 years so people can make a decision if they want to go from Windows 7 to Windows 10. That's up to them. But they gave that little bit of a buffer. But, you know, Microsoft should have did the same thing with Windows 10. Because they already have Windows 11. It's all about the cash. It's a cash grab. That's all that says. You figure, if there's let's say there's 50 million people in there that got computers, that got Windows 10. On the statistics, 67% are still on Windows 10. So what does this tell you? That's 67%, and they make $1 off of that 67%. There's what, 334 million people in the United States? Go by what's in the world. $1. Let's say $750 million. Just on an average. Let's say they make the first year $750 million. And then on the second year, they make $1.4 billion. And then on the third year, times 1, times 2, times 4. So, yeah, they can make a good, you know, $5 or $6 billion, or maybe a little bit more, just by doing that and extending it for the next 3 to 5 years. So yeah, it's a small little cash grab. Sorry, off topic. Don't be sorry about it, bro. It's all good. You know me. If you guys come up with something, you see something, you want to talk about something, look, I'm open to it. It's not basically, it's a discussion. We're having a discussion. Hey, if I go off topic, that's me. That's me. You guys know me. I'll go off topic, no problem. The next thing you know, Microsoft will make you use a 12-volt connector. Bro, they always make you use a 12-volt connector, especially with your GPU. Your GPU is only designed to do with that connector, no matter what connector you use, is going to be 12 volts, and then whatever power you get off of the PCIe socket. So, never changes. Except for if they did something smart and put, instead of having the connector in front of the glass, and they put it on the other side to where you don't see it, guess what? That would have been smart. But they don't do that. Because they don't think of that stupid stuff. They think, you could put 2 to 3 8-pin connectors on the back side of your GPU and have all the power you want. But they don't do that. They give you one little dinky 8-pin connector in the front and call it a day. They're just being cheap. That's all it is. Yeah, they do have cards like that, but they're more expensive. I mean, it is what it is. What they should have done was and did it to all of them in the first place. You have to plug in your power connector before you plug it into the PCIe slot. That would have been a smart thing to do. We have asked Kingpin first if that makes sense in terms of temperatures. Well, they're talking about, bending the connector like this and causing it to melt the high power connector. If they would have put it on the other side, it would have been straight right to the back of the case and it would have never bent. It would have been kind of smarter, but, like I said, when they thought somebody was using brains, somebody yelled out trains. Kind of think about it. Ugh. So as far as when it comes to temperatures, guys, it is what it is. There's going to be a good, bad, and ugly when it comes to these processors. The only thing that I have a beef with, I have a really bad beef with, is when AMD on their CPUs, they cut off the frequency. If you go to clock upwards your AMD processor, it only goes up to a certain amount. You have to have a special program in order to clock it up higher, if you didn't know that. So keep that in mind when you go to clock up an AMD processor. You have to have special programs that you get from the manufacturer in order to boost clock, your CPUs. Now, if you know how to, let's say you know how to write codes, you can write your own code and clock up your own CPU. Once you start going above a certain amount with your CPU, that's when these companies say you no longer have a warranty. So, it's like, again, you want to be a DIYer, but you have to be in the mercy of these companies. Instead of them saying, okay, we're going to do this for you. You can clock it up to this amount, but if you go over, you can go over to this amount. But if you go above that, then you're going to risk burning out your processor. They should have put a little bit of a buffer for overclocking for some people that are enthusiasts, but they keep saying, they say with this one processor, like they said, I think it was the 7500F. They said, oh, it's a good enthusiast processor. Well, it didn't enthuse me, and it's a processor, so it can still stay processing. It didn't enthuse me at all. As far as when it goes to the overclocking phase. And if you notice that the only ones that can get these to overclock are the ones that, have good connections with these companies, but us as regular users, we can't do that. We can't do that. We're not allowed to. Basically, we got our hands slapped, we pay for the product, and we can't do anything with it. It's just crazy. This former EVGA overclocking king will find a solution that makes sense. Well, I wouldn't even say former EVGA, I'd just say Kingpin. Because that's what he's calling himself. He's got his own channel now, and he's working with PNY. Just a shout out to Kingpin, by the way. But he's working with PNY now, so. Hello, pseudoscientist. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, if you guys are wondering about what happened with Kingpin, he's working with PNY now, and they're coming up with some goodies for PNY. I guess he's got a deal working out with them. So, if you didn't know what was happening, that's what's happening right now, as far as I know. So. But as far as with the AMD 9000 series, this is going to be a wild September. Because they're going to, if AMD throws out the X3D series right on top of, if Arrow Lake comes out and they throw it right on the top of Arrow Lake, something tells me they're going to end up regretting it. So, I want to know what you guys think about that. I mean, that's September right there. You have to look at if AMD throws out the 9000 X3D series, like a 9950 X3D, and then on top of that, they bring out the 800 series motherboards, and you slap that together, and like. Intel's not even prepared for that. They don't even have their 800 series motherboards coming out just yet. And they're like caught with their pants down, don't you think? What do you guys think about that? PNY and Kingpin, nice. He will say something like, make that PCIe connectors will not glue. Yep. True. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that AMD is going to knock Intel out of the box? They're going to lose market share over this. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. I'll be impressed if everything is as good as they say everything is. Or will be, basically. Yes, pseudoscientists, I do agree with that. That's if it can cut the mustard. So, who knows? Who knows? If it's going to be that good or that bad. I still have my reservations because of the fact of them saying that the 9700X, that they're going to increase the TDP from 65 watts to 120 watts to outperform the 7800X 3D. So are you telling me that they're going in competition with themselves to outdo their last generation to the next? I guess the only competition they got left is themselves at this point. And I know you guys heard me talk about this before. So, it won't be. You never know, machine. It might be. Yeah, if Intel loses market share, they will build less new fabs. Or no, what they'll do, well, yeah, if they lose market share in the desktop series, they're going to build less processors for the desktops. But I think they're more geared towards the laptops, is because they got more market share in the laptops than they do the desktops. Who knows? Sheen says it will be if they use RX 6600. Oh, you're talking about AMD using the RX 6600 with the AM4 series, the 5800 XT and the 5900 XT? I mean, I really wouldn't beat the horse with those two. From what I'm looking at in price points, I don't think that those two versions for the AM4 series are going to be good. They might be, but they might not be. So that's kind of beating the horse on that one. I am kind of looking forward to, because since, AMD can't come out with the 5950 X3D, which would be a 16-core, 32-thread XD3D processor, and to give it a tremendous cache bump, like 140 megabytes of extra cache. I don't think they're going to do it. It'd be nice. Then everybody said, yeah, well, it'd be nice, but will it work the same as the 7950 X3D? That's what y'all are going to be saying. It probably would. They would probably do the same thing that they did for the 7950 X3D. Knowing that people shut off turn off the second CCD and leave only one running, that doesn't make sense, and then you don't get all the cache because it's stuck on the second CCD. It's just crazy. Yeah, I know. That's just the way I talk, man. Cache. I just say cache. It's whatever. Still the same crap. So, I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place over this. The only thing I've seen good that's coming out for the X series is the 9700, the 9700X. And that's still not, that'd be a processor I would not put in a 600 series motherboard, neither. I would have to wait for the 800 series motherboard, in order to have that extra little bump in the Expo and, the USB 4 that they got going on with it and stuff like that. It's a lot. Is French. Well, it's French and fries there. How's that? So, but they got, that 800 series motherboard, that's kind of got me into the click of this. Because if they did put an extra bump on the Expo, the boost on the Expo, then that might be interesting for you all that do run the Expo on your motherboards now for your AM5 series. My problem with the Expo is that it fluctuates the frequency. How you got, your megahertz, that when it sits idle, that the megahertz go down and then they go back up to the max and they go. Your CPU does that. If you run it on auto, your CPU can fluctuate from baseline all the way up to the max line. But you don't want your RAM doing the same thing. You want your RAM to stay continuous running at its max peak. But something tells me that with this Expo, and I've been hearing this from people, that what it does is it fluctuates when, you're sitting at idle, and when you go and you put full load on it, and then it comes back up and recovers to the max. I don't know. So, I don't use Expo. I manually set my RAM at the max clock and called it a day. I guess I know this. Yes, I'll know this fall. Yeah, pseudoscientists. We all are in this pickle right now. When I did that one video, I think it's one or two videos ago on the 9950X. I've been getting a lot of people telling me that they're not even going to look towards the 9950X or any of the Manila X series. They're not going to be looking at that. They're going to be wanting the X3D series. That's where everybody's got their focus on right now. And they're focusing themselves for September. So we don't know how the launch is going to go for July. Even though that, AMD should have did the launch on the 15th. Because Amazon Prime Day is on the 16th to the 21st. And they would have had awesome sales. They should have put their CPUs on then. Gave everybody a 10% discount and said, here you go. That's what they should have done. I sure look forward to the Ryzen 9950X reviews. If I can get my hands on one and it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to get it, which it'll probably cost me over $1,000 just to get the CPU, the motherboard, and the RAM alone. It'll probably cost me up to about $1,000 for that. Because it's not going to run great on a 600 series motherboard. You're going to end up having to run that on that 800 series motherboard. Even though they said Even though that they said the 9000 series will run on the 600 series motherboards, but I don't think the VRMs are going to be up for the challenge. That's the problem. I don't think the VRMs on the 600 series are going to be up for the challenge. So they need to get the 7000 stock lower. Yeah, they do. They need to bring the price down. That's what they need to do. But the price keeps going up and up and up and up. And that's the reason why people are still staying on AM4, is because the price keeps going up and up and up and up. And when they bring it down, it's too late. Everybody's done bought themselves an AM4 piece, the whole setup for an AM4. Because they kept getting the price up, and then they bring it down, and they're like, everybody's like, oh, damn. Now I can't get this because I bought this. It's crazy. Hello, Cookie. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. No, but you guys disagree with it? I mean, think about it. You go and they jack up the prices, and when you get ready to buy your next big thing on the system, you can't buy the AM5 because they got it so jacked up so high that you're stuck with the AM4. And then you buy yourself a 5000 series processor, B550 motherboard, and you might have spent like what, $450 compared to spending $1,000 on an AM5 series. Especially the newest processor coming out, it's going to be around $600. That's going to be around $600, and that motherboard, that new 800 series motherboard, is going to be well over $200 to $300, maybe $400. Who knows? So I would cheap out on RAM speed, likely if the CPU is expensive. Not that big of a deal. First of all, I need the numbers compared to some Intel, something like Intel Arrow Lake or something like, yeah. I agree. So the scientist says the prices will only be going up on new parts. More inflation coming. Yeah, because we got 5 more months, don't we? Oh, I didn't even want to think about that part. But hopefully after November into January, prices will come down. Let's pray the prices will come down. I got to pray for it. Really, I do. Hello, Sherman. Welcome. What is your best PC pickup? My best PC right now is not AM5. My best PC right now is not with Intel. I run an AM4 motherboard with 64 gigs of RAM and the Ryzen 7 5700X with the RTX 4070 at 750 watt PSU with 11 fans and a decent case for $1,300. So, and it's it's getting its usage. And like I told everybody, I'm going to use my PC for the next 5 years and save up for the next big thing. So that's how much it's going to, that's how I'm going to work it, if you're wondering. So Sherman says, I go full AM5 socket. Well, I was thinking about doing another PC and doing an AM5 PC just strictly for gaming, and then using my AM4 for creator work, just leave it like that. Split the two, since I'm doing gaming and creator work on my one PC, just split the two and, have one over on this side here and one over here. So I got 2 PCs each side, 2 screens. It'd be decent. I didn't want to adopt AM5 early. Mainboard and RAM prices seemed a little off, and AMD was advertising it enthusiast desktop. Yeah, no. That just totally blew my mind when they did that. Which sounds quite high-end stuff, even if they have integrated GPUs. Well, it's not really. It's high, you can use the 8700G, okay? But you can use a discrete graphics card with an 8700G, and have neural processing unit right then and there. So if you wanted to go that route, that would just be like having a Copilot PC, but without the extra that Microsoft is not giving AMD or Intel right now. Only Qualcomm has the exclusive rights to use the AI processes on their PC with Windows 11. So, yeah. And they cut AMD and Intel right out of the picture. Even though that they said different at the keynote. It's confusing. So, let's see. I got a 12900K bundle at Micro Center. It was a steal. Well, if it was a great price, if you got it for like less than $400, like $320 some, that would have been a great deal. $320, $330, somewhere in there. That would have been a great deal. I wish I was close to Micro Center. Machine, I got a 6-hour drive, my friend. I know how it is. Sultan, hopefully I said that right. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Is it a good idea to upgrade eight plus 8 DDR4 to 8 plus 16 on a Ryzen 5 1600 AF? Oh, if I remember right, that's Zen 1, Zen 2. Truthfully, to be honest with you, I would wait to go up to the next best thing and just go right to the top when it comes to the CPU processor, the motherboard, and the RAM. All that in a combination, and then run it with whatever graphics card you have, or just do a complete new setup with all new graphics card and everything else and just go right to the top. Because the prices right now, the prices right now, see, if you look at the prices for your older hardware, is still equaling up to the price of the newer hardware. You might as well just go right to the top and get all the best and be done with it. And then wait 4 to 5 years before you buy it again. You know, just go every 5 years and save yourself $1. Cookies and Cream says, what I remember, it was an i9 12900K with the motherboard and 32 gigabytes of RAM for around $400. Well, yeah. It's pretty much what's going on right now, yeah. I also got the 7800X3D, work with 6,000 megahertz exactly. Well, that's not too bad. I mean, but like I said, they're already talking about the 9700X, adding more power to it and being able to be competing with the 7800X3D. So that's the rumor that's going on around right now. So I would think about that. Tough question. Okay, let's see what the tough question is. I'm lucky to have a Micro Center 8 minutes away. Well, that's a good thing. Well, for me, it would be a good and a bad thing at the same time. For the simple fact that I think I would be at Micro Center more than making videos. Or I'd be making videos at Micro Center more, often than other than the one time that I did. So, but I'm going to have to make another trip, I guess. I'm going to have to make another trip up to Micro Center. That's what it's going to come down to. So, I'm seeing sales on mid-range stuff. Machine says, if I had a Micro Center 7 minutes away, I would not have any money left. True. We all wouldn't have any money left there, guys, and, we wouldn't have any money. We don't have any money anyway. I mean, let's get to the brass tacks. I mean, we talk about having money, but we don't have money. And then, when we have money, we don't have any money because of bills. Bills take up more of our money, so then we got to pay the bills in order to live, but we don't have enough money to pay for the hardware. A twisted world where we just want the hardware. We just want the hardware. That's all I want to do is get the hardware and do builds. And show y'all what's going on with it. But I gotta pull tooth and nail to get hardware. Oh. It's crazy. Machine says you live in California, so it is worse for you. Yeah, it is. Rent is not cheap. Electricity is not cheap. Well, it is because of the solar panels, but water's not cheap. Even the garbage is not cheap. I mean, gas prices are not cheap. So yeah. I have a choice. I could either want to buy food, pay the the rent and bills, or get PC parts. And I know you all are going to say, Jay, you just should get a camper, go live in it, and get your PC parts. I know that's going to come about sooner or later, that y'all are going to say that. Well, you're lucky. Mine's close to $7. $7. You think that crap's changing? Not until after November. Food can wait. Probably could. Probably. I probably can get, away from about maybe about a month or two with no food and just a $20 bucket of, weight loss drink program. I could probably get away with it and buy parts. Probably. I might have to do that in order to get parts. So. But it's nothing to cry about, but we will get parts sooner or later. I am saving up for another build that I want to get done before December if AMD and Intel and Nvidia can put out the new products. That's the thing. We're all waiting for the products. And I don't even know why I should be waiting for the products. You guys want to fill me in on that? Why are we waiting on the products? What are they doing? Are they trying to milk it along? And it seems like they're milking this along. Their customers are not going to be happy. The consumer is not happy right now with any one of those companies. I can tell you that. Because they're milking this along. At Computex, they should have put things out. They should have said, okay, this is coming on the market tomorrow when they were at Computex. No, what you didn't get was Nvidia didn't mention nothing about, well, they did mention something about a GPU, but it was not the right GPU we can shove into our computer. That was one. AMD did a paper launch on the 9000 series processors, somewhat. Intel did a paper launch on Lunar Lake, but with Arrow Lake, it was kind of iffy. So, we're all just scrambling around waiting for the parts. I just need a sponsor machine. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Let's all buy the smallest Mitsubishi and take part in some hyper milling challenge. That could be interesting. Yeah, that could be interesting. Zoltan says they are trying to go all in on AI and F all the gamers. You know what, Zoltan? You might be right. Even though that AMD said they would never do that to the gamers. Even though AMD said that. Even though Intel said that. Even though, well, I'm not going to say Nvidia said that. In the beginning, Nvidia said in the beginning, it's all about AI. We know this. They already said the hell with the gamers. So, don't worry, Jay. The next 12-volt power connector will be AI. You know what, bro? I'm going to plug you into one of those AI connectors. I'm going to plug you into one of those. Trust me. It's all about the money, guys. If the gamers are not, if they're only making $2.8 million on gamers, or is it 2.8 million or 2.8 billion, something, and they're making trillions of dollars off of this AI kick, yeah, they're pretty much telling the gamers, you know, go buy one of our big servers. That's what they're telling us. We want a GPU, go get $1 million GPU. That's what they're telling us. Pretty much. So, it's going to come to the point that they're going to say, well, we're going to stop building PC parts. Then what then? Everybody's going to scramble on the used market. That's what's going to happen. So, they're going to do laptops, and they're going to do away with the desktops. And the only ones that are going to be making the desktops like they did back in, was it the early 90s, that you had Dell, Packard Bell, you know, and Acer and all them little companies making all-in-one PCs. To where everything's built onto the motherboard, to where you can't plug in a graphics card. Had one of those PCs, threw it in the garbage. So, I don't know. We really don't want to get stuck using a 40-watt power supply. And that's about what they're saying. What those Copilot PCs are using is about a 40 to 50 watt power supply. And when I get my phone call with my friend that picked up one of those, we'll see what happens and get the 2 cents on that. I do know other people that will tell me the honest truth about, you know, PC parts and stuff. Even if I can't get my hands on it, I still get the, you know, the front connection to what it's about, because that's all they do day in and day out. So that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Helps out the channel, and they help out the channel by giving out good information to me. So that's what, you know, I'm not worried about that. But I could already tell you that it looks like the Copilot Plus PC turned out to be a flip-flop. Processor was fine, but the GPU part, right down the toilet. So, doesn't look like I'm going to be buying one of them Copilot Plus PCs unless it has a way for me to modify it. And y'all know me. I'll stick a new GPU in that damn thing, and I'll definitely be changing out the RAM, because there's no way you can sell a $2,000 PC with 16 gigs of RAM, system RAM. You guys going to buy a $2,000 PC with 16 gigabytes of system RAM? Come on. I will not do that. Even if it had AMD or Intel's name attached to it, I wouldn't do that. I would not buy that. Just like the new Surface PCs that's supposed to be Copilot Plus PC. I think they talked about that they took out, and this is about the CPU part, that they have everything integrated to where you can't modify anything. So if you need more RAM for your PC, you'll end up having to send it back to the company, and they'll have to give you a better motherboard, but then they're going to charge you a price. So your guys are going to be stuck with a price. See, when you get a motherboard that has everything soldered on it, and you can't upgrade it unless you send it back to their company, and it's going to cost you double than what another manufacturer might do with the laptop. If everybody's so worried about that AI kick, don't be worried about that AI kick. That AI kick is nothing but an algorithm. There's no real life to it yet. If there's real life to AI programming, it should be able to ask you questions. Even if you don't say nothing, it should be able to ask you a question or suggest something. But it doesn't. It doesn't have a mind. So, keep that in mind. We'll have to learn to solder chips, I guess. Yep. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, they're gonna make PC parts to where you can't even switch out the processor, the CPU processor. You're not going to be able to switch out the graphics card. You're not going to be able to do anything. Because they're going to be pre-built from Dell, Hewlett-Packard, Livono, and stuff like that. Acer. All these companies are going to be building everything onto the motherboard, and it's going to be an all-in-one system. That's what I've been hearing lately. So, unless you know how to solder on a motherboard, you know how to change parts out, that's what it's going to be like. I mean, they did this once before just to make a buck, and everybody trying to get in on the AI kick. But nobody's realizing it's nothing but the software. And this is how I realized this. It's the software and it's your graphics card. Those are just the two that you need to get on this AI boom. It has nothing to do with the CPU. I don't know why they say, well, you got to have, these AI tops for this CPU. But they don't tell you the integrated graphics are built onto the CPU to get those AI tops. And your discrete graphics cards already got AI tops. Keep that in mind. So, yep, pretty much to upgrade anything, they're going to have it that way for these Snapdragon processors. But like I said, NVIDIA's coming out. They're going to be working on building their own CPU. They're going to be working on building their own CPU for the gaming desktop and a laptop and everything else. I'm sure NVIDIA will come up with something good. So, as long as the build quality is good, I might be happy with not soldering CPUs. I would be happy if they were to make the socket for your laptop, the socket for the CPU, to where the CPU itself is removable, where you can swap out the CPU. Or you can swap out the GPU. Or you can run integrated graphics on your CPU, just like you do a desktop. That seems like if you're spending $3,000 for a laptop, you should be able to get those kind of perks when it comes to your CPU and your GPU. You should be able to have those kind of perks when it comes to those two. Even the RAM, you should be able to have the functioning of being able to upgrade the RAM all the way up to 128 gigabytes. So, I mean, if you're going to spend $3,000 for a laptop, you want the whole 900 yards. You just don't want half. When you go to the look in your fridge, I'm going to use this as an example. When you go to look into your fridge and you go to make a ham sandwich, You know you got the bread, you know you got the mayo, you know you got the mustard and ketchup and so on. You know you got the lettuce and tomato, but where's the ham? That's about what they're giving you. They're giving you an empty sandwich. So you pay all that money to just have what's in the meat of the product. The one that gives you the push and up on the internet and the gaming power and everything else. They're only giving you half the product. And so you pay for this half of product, and the other half of that product you can't use. So what's the point of building all these extra things onto the motherboard that you can't use? There's things in the motherboard BIOS that you can't see and you can't use, because in order for you to see different things in your BIOS is determined by your processor. So your items will change in UEFI. Your items will change due to the processor. See, you might have certain requirements of one processor, but another processor might have different requirements, so that's what's going to pop up in that BIOS. That's the reason why motherboard manufacturers say, well, in order for you to use this CPU, you have to run this BIOS update in order for you to see that product. You know, that's simple for desktops, but for laptops, you can't. The CPU processor is soldered right to the motherboard. And you don't have the option of swapping it out and putting something better in there and having that choice. See, that's the thing. You don't have that choice. Is that not called bundling? Isn't EU suing Microsoft for that? EU suing Microsoft for them taking Microsoft Teams and bundling it in with the Microsoft 360. Which it's Microsoft's program, so it shouldn't be a problem. But other companies are complaining because Microsoft's taken Microsoft Teams out of Internet Explorer, their Microsoft Edge, and bundling it in with their other software for, like, your for your office programs, for your antivirus and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a total package kind of thing. Yeah, and people got pissed off in the EU. Companies got pissed off in the EU because Microsoft did that. Instead of having it on their browser, they started stripping their browser off because they're implementing Copilot to mainly take care of the browser for Microsoft Edge. So yeah, there's a lot of controversy right now over that. It'd be better if they would have took Google, something from Google and partnered up and said, hey, let's throw it in there. Then the EU would have never complained. Because they're taking a different company and they're partnering up and, they're putting it into a bundle program. That's what Microsoft used to do. But Microsoft said, screw it, they're tired of losing money. So now they're just going to take their own software and they're going to start picking it apart, putting it into a new package deal and make everybody pay for it. Instead of we getting it for free, they're making you pay for it now. Microsoft's slowly stripping the operating system and everything that they added in over the years. They're slowly stripping it out and making you pay for it. So, pseudoscientists, I know it's gonna be the talk of the town for the next couple weeks. Microsoft has to make a decision, and they could do like this. They could say, hey, look, if you don't want the bundling over in the EU, fine, we take it back. They can take it back. They can take, whatever they want and say, okay, well, we're not going to distribute it to you guys anymore. They could do that right there. They can just say, the hell with it. You want to complain about it, we'll take it back, and you guys don't have to worry about it now. And they'll distribute it to other countries. That's pretty much what's going to happen. Software is software. There's many people that got different Microsoft hack jobs when it comes to an operating system out there. There's many operating systems. So I don't know why, people got to worry about what's being bundled. If they're taking their own programming and bundling it together and saying, hey, we did this new and improved, now you got to pay for it. That's life. I mean, you can't get around that. That's life. That's innovation. Don't worry, be happy. Yeah, you're right, MTBK. Don't worry, be happy. It's innovation. If a company wants to innovate and they want to take one of their products off of the market, redo it and make it better and innovate it and put it into a bundle with their other programs, then you're paying for the innovation. They got to pay for the R&D. They have to pay people to rebuild these programs. It's not like money's growing on trees. So that's what the EU doesn't understand, is because this takes time, this takes money and everything to rebuild things. So when everybody starts waking up from that moment, then you'll understand why it costs so much to build so many different products. AMD only builds a certain amount of products. So with Intel, so with NVIDIA, so with Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, ASRock, all these companies only put out a budget for this amount to be spent on certain products that we get it for consumers. Then after that, they'll do more R&D, and they'll, once they start getting the sales and money back from what they just spent, then they'll go in and do it again. So it was good. It was a good convo. Explained it well. Well, yeah. Well, it's just, I think there's a lot of things that are going on in the world today that, is beyond explaining. I mean, you can't explain on some things. It's kind of hard to explain on some things. But when I heard the news about what Microsoft was doing and the EU was going after them, I did keep that in my mind. I wasn't going to bring it up until it was, something actually came out of it. And then I can say, well, this happened and this is what came out of it. But so far, right now, I think they're all working on a resolution for the fact of what Microsoft wants to do. And these governments are so worried about companies becoming a monopoly. And, when they become a monopoly, the government feels they're being cut out from the taxes. You know, that's how they make their money, is when these companies are not monopolies and they make money. These governments make money off of these companies. But once they start combining together and coming into one, that's when it becomes a monopoly, and that's when the government gets mad, because now if you had, like, let's say you had 60 revenue sources the government did for taxes, now all 60 companies came together into one. And now the one company has a certain tax bracket, and that's the only thing that the government can hit that one company on. And that's what they don't want to happen with these tech companies, is because they make too much damn money, and they know it, and they just keep bleeding them dry. It's just like with fossil fuels, the gasoline. They hit a $2 tax on fossil fuels, and they hit another $2 tax on fossil fuels again. So you got $4 in taxes that go out, and when you bought gas in the 80s, it was close to 89 to 99 cents a gallon. So you're paying almost close to $1 a gallon. Now you're paying almost close to $5 a gallon, $6, $7 a gallon. So I just think it's nuts. Truthfully, I think it's nuts. And this is what's worrying me about PC parts right now. Is I try to find the lowest parts and prices that I can. And when people ask me, where are all the low-end PC parts? Where's all the low-priced PC parts? Well, to find out that some of the low-end, they started jacking up prices again. I mean, it's become nuts. I'll suggest everyone who listens to that podcast on YouTube, if you're interested. Hey, pseudoscientists, if you want to put a link in here so everybody can see it, that's cool, man. You can put a link in. I don't have a problem with that. So if they want to watch it, that'll be up to them. So I got about 5 minutes left, guys. I know I've been talking for a little while, but this is my conclusion to the Intel and AMD battle that's going to be happening in September. Two ways this can go. One way, that Intel backs out and they don't launch Arrow Lake, and they decide to go the way of laptop. So there won't be a desktop launch. So maybe, AMD won't have that competitor there, and AMD might do a paper launch in September and delay the sale of the motherboards, the 800 series motherboards. Or Intel can launch their desktop processors, then AMD launches their 9000X 3Ds with the 800 series motherboards and totally cripples Intel. It can go that way too. We don't know. So oh, okay. I got you, pseudoscientist. Well, if you let me know what kind of video it is, or the name of it, I can pop it up and post it. If you put the name in the chat right here, I can pop it up and post it. I can do that too. So, see, I got YouTube up right now, so I just need the name of what it is, and we can, post it for you. Just to let you know, guys, when I'm chatting with you and I'm looking at the chat board here, there's a 10-second delay from me chatting to you. So give it 10 seconds and my chat will come to you. All In Podcast YouTube. Okay. I'm clicking on podcast. All In. Is that the name of it? All In? Give me a minute, guys. We're looking. Is it this one right here? Okay. Is it that one right there? I'm not sure. So, but anyway, guys, if it is, then I hope I got the right one. Yeah, I got you. 4 dudes. That's it right there. That's it. That's the one. Yep, that looks like it. That looks like it for sure. That looks like it for sure. Okay, guys, if I get more information when it comes to the Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA, I will let you know. Right now, I'm kind of taking in all the information I can find and what's going on. I really don't want to get too much into these excessive leaks because I've already did that a couple times and it seems I ran into a little bit of an issue with those kind of leaks. So I'm going to tell you, if I get a leak and I mention it to you, I would take it with a grain of salt until I can get more solid proof. I'm just going to tell you, basically, when I get solid proof, then that's when we'll go from there. Oh, I got you there. I got you there. Look, I always gave everybody the opportunity. If they wanted to be on my Discord and be a part of the discussion, they could. And when I do my Saturday events, I always give somebody the opportunity. If they want to do it, all they need is a cam and a microphone, and they can, get on Discord and go live, and I can post it right here to YouTube and go live and, do it right from there. So that's if somebody wants to get on the microphone and the cam. More than welcome. Just let me know ahead of time before Saturday. That way I can prepare it and get you all set and ready. And if you don't get my Discord and you want to be a part of that discussion, we can always send you an invite. So this way, you can get in on the discussion. So we'll go ahead and send it. We'll generate a link. There we go. Okay. So we'll generate a link if you want to be on our Discord page and everything else. There you go. You want to be a part of our Discord? You can join in. I do this every week, so that way you know that you can join in with us. There we go. Okay. So hopefully today was a little bit fun. I know it doesn't seem like it was totally fun. I hope it was a little bit fun at least. But if you guys have anything you want to discuss as well, I always keep, even though I set the discussion for certain things, I still leave it open for anybody to open up a conversation and say, hey, I want to talk about this for a couple minutes. That's fine. I always try to reach out to you guys and let you know it's not a bad thing. So I'm just going to leave that option open. I try to keep the channel as transparent as I can. And you all should know that. I try to keep it as transparent as I can. But anywho, just having my usual workload, still lots of fun, love making jokes. No problem, MTBK, no problem. Pseudoscientist, no problem. I understand. Not a big deal. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. It has been fun with you for the last couple hours. And we'll pick it up next Saturday at 5 p.m. right here on the channel. Make sure you're setting your clocks for that so you know to be ready for when I got that post out there. And I'll make sure I'll have the post out here ahead of time for next week, so that way you guys don't miss out and you're here on time. So I'll have that all done for next week, so you guys know when I'm gonna, you'll know Saturday 5 p.m. California time we're gonna be doing this again. So, but anyway, guys, I want y'all to have a great night and a blessed evening, and stay safe Watch out for, any trouble. Try to stay out of trouble. You know how it goes. So be safe and have fun, and we will see you on the next one.